All right, here we go. Welcome back to the show. Going to keep this episode a little more casual. The first 8 episodes were scripted for sure. And I kind of had to do that just to talk about every single nuance that I wanted to get across and, just make sure that I didn't miss anything. So that's why it was a little bit more scripted. And my idea for the rest of the show is not going to be scripted. So really just want real, authentic conversations and for myself to be real too. Not to say that I wasn't authentic before, but really just to say that, I had everything written out on my iPad, but they were my genuine thoughts and what I was feeling in those moments and really just the facts of what actually happened. So 100% me. So just had to get those first 8 episodes out and tell my story and everything that happened along the way and all the emotions and little stories within. So with that being said, first off, just want to thank everyone so much for all the support throughout these 13, 14 years, whether it was a family, friends, my community, friends of friends, teachers, whatever it was, that the support that I got from my community meant so much to me. So back then it was amazing to see my community back me up as much as they did. So can't thank everyone enough. It really made my life as comfortable as it could have been. So that was awesome to see, and still getting the support with this podcast and all the people that have reached out and sent me a text, give me a call and said, hey, love what you're doing. Love that you're letting all this out. And honestly, I get that reaction that from, friends and people that are close to me that they had no idea that most of this was going on. So it's really awesome to see. And like I've said many times before, it's so therapeutic just to let everything out. So it's been really awesome just to see all the support that I've got from releasing this podcast and, putting myself out there. It's not something that's easy for me to do. Up until, a couple of years ago, I wouldn't even tell anyone what was going on and all the anxiety and fear and worries that I had. And it was all just, on the surface, I was perfectly fine. And, I'm sure that's how people have perceived me. And, beneath that, there was a multitude of different layers and so many things that I was dealing with. And it feels great to let it all out. So it's therapeutic for me. Okay. So I want to take a step back and talk about all the lessons that I've learned in the last 13 and a half years and, just get a bird's eye view, take a step back and analyze everything that happened. And, throughout my journey, I've been great about documenting everything and, writing notes as I go, because again, there's so many different things going on that you don't know what your 18-year-old self thought, right? That was so long ago. And if it's over a decade, you don't really know if you're feeling some type of way or you're feeling anxiety in that moment unless you wrote it down, right? So I've been so thankful that I had my dad tell me to write everything down, every emotion, journal to yourself, talk about your journey. And, again, I don't care if it's released to anyone, but it's therapeutic for yourself. You have to write it out. You have to talk about it. So, again, as I take a step back and really, really take some lessons from all the MRIs, the blood works, the CT scans, the PET scans, EKGs, EEGs, biopsies, everything. First off, a pillar of my mentality has always been that if I lived in a community of 100,000 people and 5 of them have to get cancer, I want that burden. Like I want that weight on my shoulders, and I wouldn't have it any other way. I would never trade places with anyone in this situation. And I really go back to, God has a plan. Every single instance happens strategically according to God's plan. If you don't use everything that He's blessed you with to its fullest potential, then you're just wasting the tools that you were born with. Everyone has purpose in this life, but only a few realize them. God blessed me with a supportive family and friends, but He also blessed me with cancer. I would not be the man I am today without it. Okay, so now the tangible lessons that I learned that can be applied to everyday life. All right, the first one is life is too short to be filled with worry and doubt. Man, I wish this was a piece of advice that I listen to every day. And, to be transparent, I don't. And it's something that I want to live my life by, but it's tough. And everyone knows how tough it is. But, life is meant to be enjoyed. It's inevitable that every book, friendship, life has a beginning, a middle, and an end. Like, we only have a finite amount of time on this earth. Like, spend your time with people that you love and that you want to be with, and, experiencing this life that we are given. Live in the present. The past doesn't control you. Enjoy the little things. Yeah, it's so hard to take a step back sometimes. And you're so close to the situation where, there's something going on at work and you missed the deadline, or you have to get a report out to your manager, by end of day. Yes, those things are stressful, but at the end of the day, it's not that big of a deal. There are so many bigger things in this life. And, cancer has taught me that you can't sweat the little things, the little day-to-day things that in the grand scheme of things are just not that big of a deal. So that's one lesson that I definitely have to take, to heart more. And again, life is too short to be filled with worry and doubt. That is a great lesson that everyone needs to take a little bit of, and, really take an exhale and take a step back. So I wish I could take my own advice 100% of the time. But again, there's a lot of times where life happens and you get stuck in those day-to-day micro tasks where, you can't pick your head up and take a step back. But you definitely need to take an exhale, go take a walk, go out in nature, and just realize that some of your issues probably aren't that big. There's always someone out there who has it worse than you. Okay, again, and also I didn't preface it with this, but obviously this isn't medical advice. I am not licensed. I did not go to school or anything. This is just from a patient's point of view for, like I said, the last 13 and a half years. So don't take it as medical advice. Okay, next lesson. Don't have a victim's mentality. So yeah, it took me a long time to realize, it's hard not to say why me, or why did this happen to me? This could have happened to anyone. What are the odds of this? And, to have lung cancer under 18 years old and have this mutation, it's extremely rare. I know of one or two other cases of anyone under 18. It's like winning the lottery, basically. So, but you can't have a victim's mentality about it. You can only control how you react. You can't control what happens, but you can still get up and live your best life and fight the good fight. And really your perspective is everything. So, man, I know there's stories about, a rich man versus a poor man, where a poor man, you know, catches a fish and that fish feeds his whole family and he gets to have a Sunday dinner with his family and spend time with the people that he loves. And then the rich man's having problems where, he's got to meet all these deadlines and reports or whatever it is. And he's stressed out about it and really just wants to retire just so he can go, fishing on a boat and have a lake house where, you could be doing the same thing for much less. It's all perspective. Like, if you don't have a good perspective, then you're just going to have a terrible outlook on life. And that kind of goes hand in hand with having a victim's mentality. If you think you are the victim, then you're going to look at life one way through one lens. And if you look through the lens where you were blessed with this and you get to learn all this information, then you'll probably have a different perspective than the person who is, down in the dumps. So again, it's all perspective. And to live this iteration of life, you cannot have a victim's mentality. You got to get over that. Next lesson, build a strong supporting team. This is crucial. I mean, this is the reason why I'm here today. My family, my friends, girlfriend, they're the only reason that I'm who I am today. Like, there's no way I could have dealt with everything mentally, physically, if I was on my own. Like, I would be in shambles. There is no way that I would be here today and, have enough courage to do the things that I'm doing today. Like, that's without question. Your team is everything. It is not just me versus the world. There is a whole team supporting me and, making sure that my life is as comfortable as it can be. I would not have the strength to endure it all without them. Honestly, you have to be vulnerable and ask for support. Otherwise, it's not coming. So again, you got to build a strong supporting team and you got to be vulnerable in order to do that. So that's a great piece of advice. And I've said this before, but it took me till I was 25. So a little over 11 years to figure out that, I wasn't Superman and I needed some help. And it took me that long to open up about things and ask people for help. And it's crazy. It just made my life so much easier. So build a strong supporting team. That's one of the biggest lessons that I've learned. Okay, here's the next one. Adversity builds character. This is something that, my dad taught me when I was 15, kept saying it when I was 16 and 17 and 18. And I probably didn't listen until I was around, 23. So it took him a handful of years to get this through to me. But he told me, when this all started, that adversity builds character. It builds the person that you become. And, I've said it a million times, but I would not be the person I am today without all this adversity. So I wouldn't have the discipline, the work ethic, or the mentality that I have today. So I'm so grateful for this adversity. And, you got to realize that there's got to be a reason that you're going through everything. So really, really sculpted the person that I am today. And like I said, I might be vanilla, I might be plain without it. So, you got to embrace it and, love the person that you become. So, all right, what do we got next? Okay. Take chances. This is a big one, especially for the people listening. I think most of my demographic is, 25-year-olds to like 30. And you got to take risks, whether that's moving to a new place or taking financial risks or, just taking a chance on a passion that you have. Like, you have to live your life with risks. And if you're not taking them when you're 20 and you have no responsibilities and something to fall back on, like you have the next 30 years to work in a corporate job. So why not take the risk now? Like, who knows what's going to come of it? And you're going to learn a lesson whether you fail or succeed. So you got to take chances. Like I said, move to that new place, start that new job, start that business, do that thing that you're passionate about, because what's a better time than right now while you're young with no responsibilities? So that's another one that I have to keep telling myself. And, I think I do take a decent amount of chances, but could always be more. And you got to obviously find that line of taking too many risks and too many chances. You got to take some risks for sure. I know a lot of people play it too safe, and it's it would be a really small life if you didn't take any chances and lived in the same place in the same same square mile that you grew up in. So there's a big world out there, and you got to take chances. So that's another one where I need to keep telling myself that. So, okay, this one is more medical driven, but it's the power of a second opinion. This one's huge. At the end of the day, doctors are normal ass people. The normal ass people doing a job to, feed their family, to pay for that vacation, pay their bills, whatever it is. And they have bad days. They have bad days and they have good days, right? Like they're a normal person at the end of the day. And, you always have to get second opinions, because this is your life. Your life is so important. And if you care about your life as much as I do, I will get so many opinions until I hear the right one, until someone gives me a chance. And, maybe it's something that's more risky, but, it has a potential or opportunity to be a better outcome. I'll listen to that. I just need someone to give me a whisper of hope. And, you've got to do your own research, because no one at the end of the day is as close or cares about your life as much as you do, or at least as much as you should. So you got to do your own research. You got to get second opinions. You got to get third opinions, fourth, fifth, whatever it is. But it's saved my life completely. I've had doctors tell me so many things. If I listen to the first opinion of all the doctors that I've met with, I'd have 1/3 of a lung, and I would have full brain radiation done. So, I mean, if all of that happened, there's a good chance that I wouldn't have my speech, my coordination, my mental health, my lung capacity. I wouldn't be able to run, lift, or do any of the active things that I want to do. So, yeah, I had a doctor tell me to resect 2/3 of my lung, and then also had a radiologist tell me to do full brain radiation as a 15-year-old. So not even Gamma knife or anything imprecise where that wouldn't harm healthy tissue. They wanted full brain, old school radiation. So we all know where that would have gone in the next 5 to 10 years following that treatment. So I'm so glad that didn't happen, and I'm so glad that my mom had the intuition to get second and third opinions. And it just, when I think back to that, I think, holy cow, what if I went through with those things? And what if my team and my mom, my parents, my brothers didn't think twice about it and just blindly listened to the first opinion that any doctor told us? Like, that would be catastrophic. So I'm so glad that I'm in the position that I am today. And I'm so thankful for my family and everyone who's looking out for me. So got a little emotional there, but man, the power of a second opinion means so much to me. Next one. And this kind of goes hand in hand with the last one of get second opinions. This is, again, a little bit medical, but you can apply this to anything. Like, okay, here it is. and I won't spoil it. Here it is. Ask questions. Be curious. I mean, it sounds so simple, but there are so many people in this world who are just not curious and, just floating by. Like, ask questions, be curious. And for me in the medical field, you got to ask questions. You got to know, you got to have all the information so you can make decisions for yourself. Like, ask every side effect, every recovery time, everything you don't know, which is probably a lot when you're dealing with anything medical. And again, for the first 10 years, I had no idea about anything. So I had to ask questions about every single thing, every medical term that was used, every, medical treatment, anything. Gather all the information and make the best decision for yourself. And you can apply that in anything. I mean, it's so easy just to, attend corporate calls and corporate business calls and not ask any questions. Like, you'll be thinking something in your head, but don't ask about it because, I don't want to be that guy who holds us past the hour for a meeting. Like, no, ask those questions. Be curious. Gather more information because, most of the time it's not just you thinking that. So ask questions, and that honestly applies to everything. Like, no one's an expert on most of the stuff that we do. Okay, the next one, and I kind of already touched on this, so I'll keep this one short, but it's really control what you can control. Like, there are so many things in this life that we have no control over. Like, I can't do anything about me being diagnosed with cancer. Plain and simple. Me being first diagnosed, there's nothing I can do about it. We can treat it and the doctors can help me out, but there's nothing that I can do. The only things I can control are my diet, what goes in my body, how much I work out, my mind, and that's it. Like, that's all I can control. So, take control of what you can, but everything else that you can't control, just control your perspective and make sure you're having the right outlook on everything. And another thing to add to that, treat yourself like LeBron James. Spend time and money on your health because it matters. Like, honestly, that's the one investment that I can always justify is, spending more money on like a cold plunge or a sauna session or healthier food. That stuff matters because that's you. Like, that's what you're putting in your body. That's what you're doing to your body, like the supplements you take. I can always justify spending more money on my body because I use it every day. Again, control what you can control mentally, physically, perspective wise, just anything you can control. Just make sure that that's dialed in. All right, so this will be the last one on this episode, and I'll continue with these lessons. But the last one here, and I kind of already touched on it, was document everything. This was told me by a wise man, being my father, when I was, 15 years old. And just document everything. You never know when you're going to start a podcast or, want that information, or have a new doctor that you see and you need all the MRI results and scans and written reports. or if you're seeing a psychiatrist or whatever it is, any type of new doctor, you need all the documents from your past. You need the puzzle pieces that make you who you are. They need the full story because, I don't want people treating me based on what's right in front of me. Like, I want the holistic approach of, all right, here's the whole puzzle, not just one piece. This is everything that I documented. This is all the journal entries that I did. This is all the thoughts that I wrote down. This is all the MRI reports, all the CT reports. This is all the scans. This is everything. Have all of that for you so you can bring it to anyone and bring them up to speed immediately. Have all of that on hand, because there's been so many times where, I'll get an MRI at a new place and they don't have the previous MRIs and they don't know how to compare it or see if anything's grown or if it's shrinking or staying the same or being stable. There's so many things and there's so many reasons to document everything. And you can apply this to anything. Like in your job, document everything. Like keep receipts. Let people know like this is why I did that. You signed here, like this happened because of that. Like make a note to yourself about everything. And everyone doesn't have a photogenic memory. In this day and age, with humans consuming so much information and so much data, that we can forget anything. I mean, we can forget what we did yesterday or the month before that. So, I mean, you got to make notes. You got to document everything, because if you don't, like, there's no proof. There's no evidence. It's got to be documented. And, one, as a learning mechanism, and two, as data to track your progression. So whether that's mental health, physical health, whatever progression you're trying to track, like write it down, make a note to yourself. So, that's some advice that I've given, and, it's one that has been instrumental in my life and helped me track progression in anything, whether it's medical, work related, fitness related, mental health related. I mean, there's just so many things where documentation should be one of the first things that you do. So shout out to my dad on that one. He instilled that lesson in me at a very young age. And it's something that to this day just makes so much sense and is something that I have to keep reminding myself. So I keep a very well organized file of all my scans, all my progression, and it's come in handy multiple times over the years. So really thankful for him and teaching me that lesson, and just wanted to share with all of you. And again, that was my last lesson for this video. I have about 10 more, and we're going to save that for the next video. But thank you for sticking with me. And again, it's not medical advice. I am definitely not a doctor. But these are just some things that I've learned along the way, and they're just lessons that, I think everyone needs to hear, and myself included. So thank you all for listening, and I will catch you in the next one. See ya.